Hello everybody. Now one great place to get traffic is Pinterest. And in a moment I'm going to create a brand new Pinterest account here. But first of all I want to point out a few things. I'm sure everybody knows what Pinterest is, but just to clarify, it's an image sharing platform. So unlike Facebook where we share posts, on Pinterest we share images. Now 70% of Pinterest users are women. This is significant because women spend more online than men. Men do buy things online, but women are the main spenders when it comes to online shopping. Now, you have a blog, you don't have a store, but you are going to be monetizing that blog. We're coming to that soon in this part of the course. Now, the life of a pin is around 1,600 times longer than the life of a Facebook post. When a Facebook post appears on your news feed, it doesn't take long before that post has disappeared from the news feed. And we don't tend to scroll the way down. We tend to look at what's there at the time. But pins stick around for a lot longer. Traffic from Pinterest is very high quality. The buyer intent, so when somebody comes to your website or your blog from Pinterest, the intent to buy, if there is something there for sale, is higher than it is coming from other social platforms, for example Facebook, YouTube, etc. Pins can also go viral, and because Pinterest users tend to be in the upper household income bracket, they do tend to spend more as well, so they purchase higher priced items. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and create a new account. So when you create a new account, you go through a quick wizard, and that helps Pinterest to show you the pins that you would be interested in. Now this is important because if we are seeing pins that are related to the topic of our blog, we can repin those pins, and that can help us to fill up our boards, which we'll be doing in a moment. And you can add the browser button. I recommend you do that. I'm not going to do it in this case because I'm using an incognito browser at the moment. Alright, and here's where we tell them what we are interested in. So I'm going to look for topics that are related to my blog. Okay, and we can also download the app for Android or iOS. Now you also have an option here with Pinterest of getting a business account, and that means if you wanted to do any paid ads in the future, you could do that. And you also get access to Pinterest Analytics, so you can see which pins are working the best. But to start building your account, which is what you need to do, you need to first of all create some boards. So we click on our own name here, select boards, create a board. Now what I recommend you do is that you try to create 7 to 10 boards. So something between 7 and 10 boards to get started with. And you should categorize those boards as subtopics of the topic of your blog. So in this case, I'm going to use some of my categories to create boards. And before I add anything to the board, I'm going to create some more. And what you can do with your boards is you can give them creative names, and it's actually a good idea to do that. So with this board here, amphibians, instead of just calling it amphibians, I could call it amphibians in the UK. What is your board about? Let's give it a brief description, and let's give it a category and save. Now I'm just going to do the same thing now for another few boards. I'll pause the video for a moment and then we'll be right back. Alright, now that we've got some boards on different topics in the niche, so different topics that we are covering on our blog, we can start to populate these with pins. And the first thing you can do is pin from your own blog. So we've got our social sharing buttons on the posts. I'm going to go ahead and pin this one. Choose a pin to save. Now choose the board. As long as you're logged into your Pinterest account, you won't have to re-log in. You just click the Pinterest button here on your post, and this is the board. Let's go ahead and refresh, and there we go. We have our first pin. Now this pin, if we just open it up, you can see here it's automatically linked to the blog. If somebody clicks on here, they're going to go right to that post. So you want to do that with all of your posts. Choose the board and just go back to the boards here, and there we have it. Now to begin with, you're not going to have a lot of stuff to share from your blog, so we can repin some other pins. Let's just go ahead and click on this board and find some ideas. Now you have to be careful, make sure they are relevant, because this particular blog is about wildlife in the UK, and perhaps some of these pins are about birds in other countries, not the UK. Now this bird here is a British bird, so let's just check it out. Click the save button, choose a board, birds in your garden, save to birds in your garden. So that's the second way to start populating your boards, and the third way is to pin from around the internet, so pin from other websites. Let's just do one. Okay, now here's one that I can pin, and they do have a pin button. Of course, if you have the Pinterest pin browser button installed, it doesn't even matter if there's no Pinterest sharing button on the actual post or page, but in this case there is. Alright, so the boards are slowly starting to fill up. How many pins do you want on each board to get started? Probably around 6 to 10 pins on each board. So you're looking at 7 to 10 boards, 6 to 10 pins on each board to get started. But it's an ongoing process. So you need to keep updating your boards. You need to keep adding new pins. So every time you add some new content to your blog, pin it, and make a habit as well of repinning and pinning some other relevant and interesting stuff from around the internet. Now, what can you do to start building your followers other than pinning? Pinning is the main way to build your followers, because they will start to build slowly, but they will start to build when you're adding new content regularly. But what else can you do to build your followers? Well, you can start following other accounts. Right now, I am just following 4. So let's find a few more, and you can do this every day. Every day you can follow 4 or 5 other accounts, and gradually your followers will build. Okay, so you're getting the idea. Just build your boards, keep pinning. It only takes a few minutes a day to do this, and every day follow a few more related accounts until you feel you've followed enough and your followers are starting to regularly build up. But as mentioned earlier, pins can go viral. If you have a really interesting pin, and don't forget this is very image focused, it is an image website, so your images should be good, and the more interesting and the more eye-catching your images are, the more attention they will get. Okay, I'll see you in the next lesson.